It is week 10 of the Iowa high school football season, which means every single class is in the playoffs. 2A through 8-man is in round 2. 3A through 5A, they are just opening playoffs. Again, a little bit of a different setup here, trying some new stuff. Recording this a day early because I got some wrestling stuff to do tomorrow. And if you're not following IA Wrestle, that's kind of our big platform. Some of you football fans might not even know that. But again, IA Wrestle is our big platform. Be sure to go check them out on Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Tons of good content coming your way. But you're not here to listen about wrestling. You're here to listen about football. Again, we've got playoff bracket predictions. Every single class, we picked every single game on YouTube, IA Sports. Be sure to go check it out if you haven't already. Tons of good content there. Again, we picked every single game, so there's no excuse not to go check that out and see if we picked your team to win or not. Today, I am joined, as usual, by Nick Fox back in his home. I see he's repping the Tiger Hawk everywhere on his camera today. But Nick, we've got buy or sell, our first segment that we usually start with some updated questions. And I'm going to start by asking you, 50. We got 4 rematches in Class 5A this week. How many of them? I guess it's not really a buy or sell. I'm just going to ask you, how many of those do you think flip?
I looking at it, I'm not sure if 50% will flip.
Yeah.
Um, I think Bettendorf will flip with Iowa City.
Okay.
I think last week was kind of a slip up, maybe not. That would be huge for them, but I thought it was pretty interesting to see that they're getting a rematch this week. I think Johnston will beat Ankeny.
There's a flip.
Yeah, okay, so there's 4 flips then? Or
Yeah.
4
Well,
games that are
yeah. 4
rematches?
games. So you got. I'll just read them to you. You're going to one of them though, so I don't know if you want to pick it. But yeah, Johnson, Ankeny, Centennial, and Northwest. You got City High and Bettendorf. And the last one is Kennedy and Cedar Falls. And I'm guessing you think that
Oh,
one's gonna flip based on some of your picks that I see.
okay, yeah, then I guess, yeah, I'll go over
50%.
50% then. I guess I
Yeah.
wasn't really sure about all of them, but,
It's interesting. You got
um,
the lower seeds with some success over the higher seeds, and now they're kind of facing again. So it's going to be
yeah.
interesting to see how that plays out.
So, yeah, I think I would go over 50% with that one. So, I'll ask you my question. Will one home team in Class 4A lose this week? And if so, who would it be?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I got 3 of them that I could see losing. ADM at Denison Schleswig. I think that's my favorite one. I know Denison people have been all in our comments saying we're just underrating them, and maybe we are. But I tell you what, I love ADM. I love Flora. He's a game changer, and I think it's just gonna be hard for them to keep him under wraps. I think Pella at Bondurant is another one, a team that just had success. I think that's a possible one where a home team can go down. And I'll tell you what, Ballard and North Polk. I don't think people realize Ballard has already beaten North Polk this year 7-6 just a few weeks ago. An interesting rematch there. Ballard 5-4. You're going to see their record and not think much, but that's a team with recent success, and it is hard to beat a good team twice. But also on the flip side, when you had success over them recently, it gives you a certain boost of confidence. So there's 3 of them for you. So I'm buying that, and I think one of them does go down. Uh, Third question, Nick, for you. Harlan played Crescent in a 3-point game previously. Instant classic. I was there. Tons of fun. Do the Cyclones flip the script and take down the #1 Panthers?
I am going to sell on this one.
Okay.
And I think if this was last year and Harlan had guys like Tegan Kasperbauer on the team, I would say yes. But I think Kale Turner and Brennan Hayes are incredibly talented. I think that they're going to take care of business. I think they're going to make a very deep run in this Class 3A bracket. So I'm gonna say that Crescent takes care of business against Harlan, and Harlan kept it close. It'll be a little scary for Crescent, I think. I don't think it'll be a blowout by any means,
Yeah.
but that'll definitely be an interesting one,
I
and
did
I'm definitely looking.
I did see a Twitter reply, Nick, to our graphic post that someone said Harlan's getting healthy. I don't know what that means. I don't know who was hurt. I know there's some questions about Sears. I don't know what the speculation is, but I saw a tweet that said Harlan's getting healthy at the right time. So that's kind of piqued my interest into as to
Okay.
what that means. So I don't know. I love Harlan. I've talked about the two. I love Crescent too. I'm sure Crescent did not like seeing this matchup in round 1. I'm sure they would have liked
Yeah.
just about anybody else. But that's how it happens, and that's how it's going to set up. And you got 3 teams in that district, all in that pod, so it's going to be war there.
Yeah, so we'll talk our last question for the buy sell segment. Cade, will any district in our big three classes, 3A through 5A, get two teams into the dome?
I do. I'm buying this, and there's a district that I see that I think gets two, and I think I know you talked about them too. I think it's Mount Vernon and Assumption. Those two finished runner up and champion, I believe, in that district, and I could see those two both winning their pod and heading to Cedar Falls. And I know another one, Solon and Williamsburg. Those two teams finished 1-2. Those are two scary teams. So yeah, I think somewhere along the lines, I look at 3A specifically because I like that one. You got the district of death. You're gonna have a shot there with Humboldt, in a different pod. But no, I'm gonna buy that one, and I think we're gonna see at least one district with two teams represented, which would be a huge testament to how that played out. But that was our buy or sell segment. We hope you guys enjoyed that. Be sure to leave a comment whether you agree, disagree. Got some hot takes there that I'm sure could stir some controversy. But our third segment today, before we get to our locks and dogs, we're going to do this really quick. Nick and I each pick one road team this week. Again, that's playing on the road that we think has a shot to make the dome. So kind of your Cinderella picks, if that is. And I'll go through mine first, then I'll let Nick go through his. Mine for 5A is Ankeny Centennial. I really like their draw. They got Waukee Northwest, a team they lost to already, but Centennial's played everybody tight, and then they have City High and Bettendorf, a game that I think the winner of Centennial and Northwest has to really like their shots in. My 4A one, I already talked about them. ADM, I like their draw. They get Denison Schleswig. They win that. They'll probably get Lewis Central, a team that's already beat them, but they played them really tight. So rematch there. You never know. 3A Assumption. I know Nick loves Assumption. I think that's a sleeper in 3A. They got West Delaware in round one on the road. My 2A underdog Western Christian. I think their toughest game could be this week against West Lyon, a team they lost to 20-6 previously, so they kept it close. I think that could be a possible one. My 2A one, I'm not as confident in. My 1A possible underdog, Sumner Fredericksburg. I like where they're at. I think they're a road team this week that could make it to the Dome. They've got Emmitsburg this week, and then the winner of Columbus Catholic in South Hamilton. And my Class A team, Maquoketa Valley. And this is all because of Lance McShane. I don't know if you saw our post. Lance McShane is the only man in the state of Iowa with 2,000 rushing yards to this point. He is an absolute beast. He is their workhorse. And at the end of the day, I like their draw. They got Wapsie Valley and then West Hancock or Starman, which isn't going to be an easy game. But I like Maquoketa Valley right now. And then my final one, an 8-man, is Gladbrook Rhinebeck, our almost wire-to-wire number one team. They fell to Clarksville, and if they beat Central City this week, and all odds are going to get a rematch with them, and I like their odds there. That was a really close game. So my 8-man Cinderella is Gladbrook Rhinebeck. Nick, take it away. Who are your Cinderellas in each class?
Yeah, so my first one is Cedar Rapids Kennedy. They go on the road to face Cedar Falls. I believe they lost to Cedar Falls earlier this year,
Yep.
and I don't see that really happening again. Kennedy, they've been a fantastic team this year. Kind of unfortunate that they got put into that pod with Southeast Polk because I think that this could be a dome team. Definitely going to be a tough challenge if they do win this game to take on Southeast Polk, assuming that they take care of business against Linmar. For Class 4A, I've got Pella. Pella drew Bondurant, and that was a game that they did. They beat Bondurant
Yeah.
a few weeks ago. And, we've talked about this before. It's very unfortunate. Bondurant has suffered some key injuries, and you hate to see it. But Pella, they got some respectable wins. They also have a win over Xavier.
Yeah.
So I could see Pella taking care of business against Bondurant. Down to 3A. Nevada taking on Webster City. Again, this is, you kind of talked about this in the rankings show yesterday, 2 days ago. And Nevada, I agree with what the Class 3A ranker said. They have some pretty similar games, but they do have a bit more of a weapon there with the quarterback. And down to 2A. Oh, shoot, I forgot. I had Kemper Catholic on here. They are
That's okay.
not
Roll with
a
it.
road. Okay, we'll go with Kemper Catholic, I guess. Um,
It
not
would be a
really
Cinderella
an
because
upset.
they'd have to go through Central Lyon, Georgia Little Rock. So I think that would be a Cinderella. So
Okay, yeah, there you
yeah, there you
go.
go. I'll
Central
let you roll
Lyon,
with it.
Georgia Little Rock. They're likely to win that game. Central Lyon, they're likely to win this week. So Kemper's path to the Dome, they have to go through the number one team. So there you have it for that. 1A, I've got Wilton. Wilton takes on, let's see, they take on this week.
They got
Well,
Regina.
Regina. Okay. Regina, I hate picking against Regina. I really like that team, but I was impressed with their win last week. They took a pretty handed victory over Woodward Granger
Yep.
last week in the first round. Down to Class A, Logan Magnolia. They will play against Woodbury Central.
Or Logan
So
Magnolia. They
Woodbury
got Akron
Central,
Westfield.
they have Akron Westfield.
Yep. Pod B.
Well,
They'd have to play Woodbury Central in a if both teams win.
oh, okay. So okay, I was looking too far ahead in my
Yeah, you're
bracket.
good. You're
Take on
good.
Akron Westfield, and I think that they can take that one. I haven't really done a whole lot of looking into Akron Westfield, but I know that Logan and Magnolia they've been a tough team this year, and they will take care of business. And my 8-man team, Cinderella story is Waco. They take on Don Bosco, who has been a top 10 team in the 8-man class over the last few weeks. I'm pretty sure they were in the top. They were around the bottom of the top 10, I believe, in that last week 8 poll or ranking that we did. So yeah, those are kind of my Cinderellas this week. I think that we've got some pretty solid picks this week. I was gonna actually pick Gladbrook Rhinebeck, and then I saw that you took that one. But
Yeah.
I've got faith in Waco to take care of business as well.
Yeah, Waco, they have that postseason experience. I mean, they were in the semifinals last year, so you always like picking teams that have kind of been there and done that type of thing. So I do like that pick. Speaking of picks, though, we've got more coming your way. We've got our locks and dogs. Recapping last week, Nick, you hit a few underdogs: Webster City, Maquoketa Valley, and Decorah. You're currently hitting at 66%, not too shabby. I also hit 11 of 14 last week. We both had the same record. I hit three. I hit four underdogs: City High, Western Christian, Wilton, and Lake Mills. So my underdog picks have been on fire as of late. But you're still ahead of me in the percentage. You just got out too quick. Looking at 5A though, Nick, I'll start with mine. My lock: Hawkeyes versus Prairie. I've heard nothing but how elite Hawkeyes' home field advantage is. That's one of the reasons why I'm considering going there. I saw Hawkeyes against Roosevelt, but I love to see them on their home field against Prairie. I'm going with Hawkeyes as my lock for Class 5A. I got to pull up my. There we go. And my upset pick, Centennial at Northwest. I picked Centennial as my Cinderella, so I might as well double down on them and pick them to beat Northwest, a team that they lost to just a few weeks ago. But Centennial, they've just played top teams really tight. I love Trenton Smith and that offense, and obviously that defense is going to be stingy throughout 4 quarters. So those are my Class 5A picks. Nick, I see you're doubling down on Kennedy.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Talked about this shortly, just a little bit ago. Kennedy over Cedar Falls. I've been impressed with some of their wins this season. Kennedy, they got the win a few weeks ago over Bettendorf, 34-14. The week before that, they beat Iowa City High, who just got a big win over Bettendorf last week, and that one was 61-34. A couple weeks ago, they did lose by 3 to Cedar Falls, but like I mentioned just a little bit ago, I don't see that happening again. I see Kennedy. Um, I see them coming out on top in that one. And waiting for bound to load here quickly. My underdog for this week is Johnston over Ankeny. I think that Johnston is a very talented team. Will Nuss, Jacob Simpson, they're both very good football players. I got to watch them a couple weeks ago, and they are really good. I think that Ankeny defense is going to have some troubles against them. Am I still with you?
Yep, you
Okay,
are.
there we go. Sorry. I think they're going to have some troubles with those too. And so that's my pick, Johnson over Ankeny.
Yeah, you got two teams that both those matchups are the rematches. Two teams that lost to the other in the
Yeah.
regular season. You're picking it to go the other way, which kind of ties into our buy or sell segment. My matchups in Class 4A, no rematches here. These are two teams facing each other for the first time. My lock is Xavier. I'm riding with the Saints. Our ranker said it. This might be the best team in Class 4A, even though they're a little bit low in the RPI in terms of the playoff seedings go, but they're hosting home against an Indianola team. I think Xavier picks up a win. It's nearly impossible to beat Xavier at home, especially in the playoffs, and I think the Saints get it done. My upset pick, talked about them before, ADM, really high on the Tigers. They head to Denison, Denison in a district that kind of was favorable for them. They got a nice draw. They got that huge win over Lamar's. Credit to the Monarchs for picking up that win to secure district title in a home game. But in the end, I think they drew just one of the better runner-up teams that has to go on the road. And ADM, it's a team I would not want to face. Obviously, Aiden Flores is the story, and they got other guys surrounding him, and it looks like he's back and healthy. I think, Nick, you were at the ADM game, and you said Flora played, which is good. So I'm taking ADM as my upset pick here.
All right, yeah, and moving on, my lock for this week, you kind of talked about it briefly earlier, but I'm taking North Polk over Ballard. They did, unfortunately, take a huge loss to Ballard earlier in the year, but like you just mentioned, I was at that game, North Polk versus ADM. I was very impressed by North Polk's defense. They really shut down and suffocated ADM's rushing offense. They couldn't really get any huge plays going. And I think that they're going to take care of business against Ballard. And my underdog for this game is Bondurant and Pella over Bondurant, I should say. This is the game I just spoke about earlier, the unfortunate injuries. And Pella being a really respectable team, we haven't talked about them a ton outside of those big wins that they've gotten this year. They also took down Gilbert last week, 33-23. So, yeah, I'm looking for Pella to get a pretty big upset here. And I couldn't tell you off the top of my head where that would put them in their bracket. But nonetheless, I'll be looking for Pella to get a big upset this week.
Perfect. I love it. Off to Class 3A now, starting with my picks. My lock is the Raiders of Williamsburg. They got Humboldt, obviously a team in the district of death that you probably don't like hosting, but I like the draw for Williamsburg, Derek Weisskopf and company. This team has just had an incredible year. The one slip up at Solon. Otherwise, they've been stellar. Give me Williamsburg here. And my upset pick, Algona at Sioux Center. Now, I like Sioux Center. I really had a tough time picking my upset here. I liked Nick's, and I didn't want to choose his, so I had to go somewhere else. But I'm just kind of going with the star here and Alex Mansky at Algona. You like picking the stars come playoff time, and that's what I'm going to do here. Again, Sioux Center's defense is one of the better in Class 3A, so this is one I'm not really confident in. I was kind of on the fence about where I wanted to go here, but my gut kind of just told me in the end to ride with Algona, so that is what I did.
Yeah, I like that Algona pick. Alex Mansky, he's an incredibly talented quarterback, and I think he could give him a great run in the postseason here. My lock for this week in Class 3A is Solon over Fort Madison. Fort Madison, they snuck into the playoffs here in the last week. Their final score from the game last week, if it will load for me. Last week they beat Washington 21-7. I would have liked to see them beat them a little bit better. And Solon is an incredibly talented team. They are 7-0, I believe. I think that they lost, or 8-0 in their last 8 matchups. I think they lost that week 1, and it was to Assumption. That's right. So Solon, obviously red hot, one of the best teams in the state. Give me Solon to beat the Bloodhounds.
I like it, yeah. Solon, I had a ton of fun watching.
And my underdog for this week. No, you're okay. You're okay. I'm lagging so badly in this. You're totally fine. I'll start with my lock or my underdog before you get into that. But I've got Nevada over Webster City. Kind of touched on this earlier. Connor King, Um, he's definitely going to be an X factor in this one. Case and Stevenson versus Jackson Cherry, very similar numbers rushing. They both have around 1,400 rushing yards and 15 plus touchdowns for both of them. So I've got Nevada taking that one. You can kind of keep going with your thought that you had just a minute ago.
Oh no, yeah, you're good. Yeah, your internet's just kind of being a little weird. We're not in the studio, so it's kind of odd. So we're dealing with the outside forces. So bear with us for this week. Hopefully, we can be back in the studio next week. But moving on to Class 2A for me, my lock is Spirit Lake against New Hampton. I just like this matchup. Caden Lunt has had a good year. Spirit Lake just has had a good year in general. Bodie Higgins and William Ditsworth, really horses for them offensively. And my underdog, Mid Prairie at PCM. There's not really a great underdog spot here. PCM obviously home to the leading rusher in Class 2A, so I don't like picking against him. But I'm gonna go with the Golden Hawks here. They had a nice win last week. It was I think it was the only game, one of the only games that our 2A ranker picked incorrectly was Mid Prairie winning. So I'm gonna stick with the hot hand in Mid Prairie to go on the road and upset PCM. Nick, I'll let you lead into your 2A picks.
Yeah, so my lock for 2A this week, I've got Van Meter taking a win this week. I've heard, I haven't looked personally, but I heard that Van Meter on the BC Moore was favored by about 60 plus points in this game. I don't know exactly how true that is, but that is insane to think if that's true for a first round playoff game. I think that Van Meter's got the wheels to take this one all the way to the state championship. So give me Van Meter in that one. And my underdog this week, we touched on Kemper earlier, but I also like Cam and Shea over Mediopolis this week. Bryce Buckley of Cam and Shea, he's got 1,500 passing yards, 20 total touchdowns, and he's even got 370 there rushing. So Mediopolis, they've been a good team this year. They're 7-2. Cam and Shea, they've kind of snuck in there last second, but that would be a huge upset for them. Give me that upset for Class 2A.
Yeah, moving on to 1A now, where my lock, I'm going to ride with the best team. I've done it before and I'll do it again. Underwood over AHSTW. I will say, though, AHSTW is one of the teams that have played Underwood really close this season. I think it's one of Underwood's closest games, actually, was AHSTW. So a little bit worried there, but I think Underwood, obviously seeing them before, is going to be able to create a game plan and take down them. My upset pick, I like this one a lot. Trainer at OABCIG. Two teams, I believe, are ranked in our 1A poll. A really good game here. Trainer just having to go on the road because of district finishings and whatnot. But the Cardinals, man, they got a quarterback in Ben Casey. He's having a great year. 1,700 passing yards, 24 touchdowns, just 7 picks. He's a stud, and Trainer's one loss this year is to the number 1 team in Underwood. So I'm going to ride with the Cardinals to get an upset win on the road at OABCIG.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and my lock this week is going to be Sigourney Kyoto over Dyke New Hartford. I know that Sigourney's got a guy that tweets at us every week and giving us live
Yeah.
updates on their games. So we've been, we've been able to keep a close eye on them this year. And I've got them beating Dyke New Hartford. They've been a solid team this year, but Sigourney, they've got an incredible offense in their last 5 games. The lowest that they've scored was 31 against Pleasantville. So I've definitely got a big win for them there. And I'm going to try and pull up my next one here. I've got the game that you talked about just shortly a little bit ago is Sumner Fredericksburg and over Emmitsburg. I agree with you on that. I think that they're going to get a win there. They've got Davis Van Sickle. He's taken the snaps at quarterback, 800 yards, 15 touchdowns. Nothing too crazy, but they've been a really well put together team. I think that they can definitely get a win in their back pocket this week in the first round. So give me Sumner Fredericksburg this week.
I like it. Yeah, Sumner Fredericksburg, a team really high in our Class 1A rankings, just having to go on the road here. So really, we're utilizing the playoff bracket and picking a road team that's probably one that would be picked to be favored. Moving on to Class A, though, my lock is a game that I'm super excited just to follow in general. Woodbury Central against MMCRU and the Royals. And this, as I said in the ranking show, or in the bracket preview, I should say, if you watch that, this is home to the best quarterback matchup in all of Class A for the rest of the postseason. Drew Klunder versus Jonah Peterson, two guys that have just been absolutely slinging it. I believe they're number 1 and number 3 in passing yards in the class. So going to be a ton of fun there, a ton of fireworks, and I'm betting there's going to be a bunch of points scored. Moving on to my upset, though, Linville Sully. I got them taking down the undefeated ACGC Chargers. Linville Sully, just a team that I've really liked. Obviously, they lose quarter down harder for the season. He was supposed to be back for the postseason. Ended up, I saw you tweeted that he's done for the year. I don't know if he re-aggravated it or his injury or whatnot, but either way, we're hoping he recovers quickly. But I mean, the Hawks have done nothing but win without their star running back. Their defense has stepped up. Montgomery and Seek have been great offensively, leading the way. And if they win this game, in all likelihood, they're going to get a rematch with Madrid, who is their one loss. So I think Linville Sully is going to be playing with a lot on the table, and I like the Hawks to get it done on the road against ACGC.
All right, yeah. So my lock this week, I've got Lisbon over East Buchanan. East Buchanan, they sneak into the playoffs. I didn't think they had a decent year, but I don't think it's good enough to beat Lisbon. They are definitely a powerhouse and one of the favorites for this class. Dakota Clark, he's had a good year, 767 yards. He's done just about equally as well with his legs, 576 rushing yards and 16 rushing touchdowns for him. So I think Lisbon will definitely take care of business this week. And I believe that they win that game, then they take on Grundy Center in round 2, assuming that Grundy Center takes the win. Or is it Grundy? Am I right about
I
that?
can
It's
look quick.
Grundy Center that they would take on.
Class A, Lisbon. They'd have the winner of Lake Mills and St. Ansgar.
Ah, yeah. Oh, Grundy Center I completely forgot they went up a class this
They
year.
did.
So
Yep.
St. Ansgar, that would be a tough matchup for them. Um, But looking at my upset for this week in Class A, I've got Logan Magnolia beating out Akron Westfield. Logan Magnolia, they've got a running back in Evan Roden. He's got over 1,000 rushing yards and 17 total touchdowns. So Logan Magnolia, they've had a fantastic year this year. I think they continue it this week against Akron Westfield. Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, and I like that pick. Logan Magnolia is going to keep the ball on the ground. They've only thrown it I think they've thrown it less than 40 times all year, so they're going to beat you with the ground attack. They got like 3 guys with over 700 plus yards rushing, so a really good pick there, Nick. I like that. Akron Westfield, just new to our rankings, but they're 8-1, so you got to respect them. Moving on to 8-man, where my lock, I'm going against you a little bit. You liked Waco. I like Don Bosco. The Dons' only loss all year is coming to Gladbrook Rhinebeck all the way back in week 1. I think the Dons are just too legit, and they're my lock. I think they get it done. My upset is one that's probably not an upset. I'm just utilizing the road game here. Remsen St. Mary's. They are going on the road this week. Just how the kind of playoff bracket worked. It went down to tiebreakers. Ultimately, it came down to alphabetical order, based on your name, and it just happened that Remsen St. Mary's got the wrong side of the coin there, so they got to go on the road to Bishop Garrigan. But Remsen's had a great year. Landon Waldschmidt is their do-it-all man, 22 rushing touchdowns. I think the Hawks go on the road and win this one pretty convincingly over Bishop Garrigan.
Yeah, so we'll wrap it up here with my picks. So my first pick here is my lock this week. I've got Cam over West Ben Mallard. Cam's been up in the top 5, I believe, for most of the season in our rankings for that. They've got Chase Speaker. I hope I'm saying that right. Chase Speaker.
Yep.
Yeah, Chase Speaker. He's got 1,100 yards, 22 touchdowns through the air, 781 yards, and 21 touchdowns on the ground. We have talked about this all season. I've said it before. I'll say it again. The Stars really shine in 8-man. They really take control of the game really well. So give me Cam in that one. And my upset, I completely agree with you on this one. Remsen St. Mary's. Or wait, no, sorry, I picked Gladbrook Rhinebeck. I read yours by mistake. I've got Gladbrook Rhinebeck. I agree with you earlier
Yeah,
with
we
your
talked about
Cinderella
rivals.
story. Yeah, we're all right. We got Gladbrook Rhinebeck. We agree with that. Central City, they've had a fantastic year, and unfortunately, they draw Gladbrook Rhinebeck, who's had a great season, and I think they continue that this week against Central City. Give me Gladbrook Rhinebeck.
I like it, yeah, and I like how you brought up Cam. They've had a great year with Speaker. I believe it's his older brother Lane led them to a state title just a few years ago. He was like an absolute monster. He like led the state in every single offensive category in 8-man. So I love that pick there to see if another Speaker can lead a Cam team to a state title. That's going to be super interesting to watch in a stacked 8-man. But that wraps up all of our picks and our Week 10 show, kind of your playoff show, your first exclusive playoff show. We went from buy or sell to our Cinderella picks to our locks and dogs. So tons of stuff to enjoy here. We're going to be keeping up with scores all week long or all night long on Friday, getting scores up. Again, as always, be sure to like this video. Be sure to comment. Let me know what you agree on, what you disagree on. Nick and I love reading you guys' opinions, whether it's for or against us. We love just getting everyone's thoughts involved because that's what we're doing. We're giving our thoughts. So we appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you hopefully in the studio next week.